clearly through the first 5 weeks of the 2025 NFL season, the Buffalo Bills are not a perfect football team. And we saw in week 5 against New England in their first loss that there are a few issues, and I think they are correctable issues. So on today's show, we're going to break down the 5 biggest changes that the Buffalo Bills need to make to get back in the win column in week 6 against Atlanta and kind of get the season back on track to where it needs to be so the Bills are a championship level football team. Without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first change that the Buffalo Bills need to make is they need to be a better tackling football team. They need to wrap up. Now, how correctable is this? We'll talk about it in just a second. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are almost at our next milestone of 7,000 subscribers here on the Bills Breakdown. Just need 108 more diehard members of the Mafia to go down below and hit that subscribe button if you want free, informative Bills content every single day on YouTube. Alrighty. The question I beg is this. Can bad tackling be corrected over time? Can we just get into more of a rhythm this season and naturally the Bills are going to wrap up a little bit better because too often this season they are missing big time tacklers in open space. I wanted to go to this before we talk about their performance against New England in week 5. The NFL Insights, shout out NFL Pro, they offer tons of different next gen stats, and this one stuck out to me. The Bills defense has allowed an explosive rush rate. This was heading into week 5 against New England, so it's not counting the matchup against the Pats. But the Bills have allowed an explosive rush, 10-plus yards, at the highest rate in the NFL this season at 23.9%. Yet, they have contacted rushers behind the line of scrimmage on 46.8% of carries, the 4th highest in the league. So what does that mean? The Bills are creating awesome disruption at the line of scrimmage on run plays, but they aren't able to wrap up and secure the tackle and get the whistle blown. That is inexcusable. Now, the Bills didn't necessarily get killed on the ground against the Patriots. Ramondre Stevenson isn't the most threatening running back. He did get in the end zone on a little bit of a swing pass. The Bills were kind of killed in the receiving game by the running backs, but as straight zone running in between the tackles and keeping things on the ground, the Bills didn't get totally gashed against New England, but that isn't saying a whole heck of a lot because that's really not where their offense is strong suited. Drake May tore him up in the pass game. Now, against the Patriots, though, the Bills still had 7 missed tackles, their 3rd most per PFF in the 2025 season. And if we're not going to point to the run game to where the Bills kind of got cooked in this one, well, how about yak over expected? Yards after the catch over expected. Plus 32 for the New England Patriots. So clearly the Patriots had more yards after the catch than they were supposed to by 32 yards. And that is the most by far that any team has had in that category against the Bills this season. So straight up, I don't know how else to tell you, but you need to be able to tackle better. Maybe that's aligning some players closer to the line of scrimmage. We'll talk about that later on in today's show. But I don't know what corrections you have to make. Wrap up and tackle. That's why we kind of got this one out of the way first, because the rest of them, as we'll get into now, are a little bit more correctable than just wrapping up and tackling. How about we get Dalton Kincaid more involved in this Bills offense? Coming off of his first century mark receiving game of his NFL career, 108 yards against New England. And it sticks out especially to me because Kincaid was basically the only guy that could beat man coverage in this game. Was getting any sort of separation over the middle of the field. And that's especially important when you consider that Dawson Knox at this point is playing like 4% more snaps than Kincaid has so far this year. It just can't happen. Look, I know he's only really available in obvious passing down situations, isn't the best overall blocker at the line of scrimmage. I think he's taken huge strides as being like a downfield blocker on certain, big stretch plays. But as far as, being close to the line of scrimmage and being one of the Bills' better blocking tight ends, no, he doesn't fit that bill. But you could see he was running all sorts of different routes this past week against New England, all over the field. Some in-breaking, some out-breaking, some underneath, some over-the-top stuff. And he did a really, really good job, in my opinion. If you take a look at some more advanced stats here on Kincaid, this is passer rating when targeted versus EPA, I believe. So you see up top there, Kincaid, yards per route run, X passer rating when targeted. So you see Kincaid all the way at the top there, has the top passer rating when he is targeted so far this year, weeks 1 through 5, and also in the pretty good spot, above average in yards per route run as well. So just a totally efficient receiver at the tight end spot when he has gotten the opportunity so far this year, but he just hasn't got enough of the opportunity, in my opinion. And for a Bills team that doesn't have many separators, I don't know if a trade's coming at the boundary receiver spot. Get Kincaid out there more. He's creating more open passing lanes for Josh Allen here. Like, you can only ask 17 to be Superman so many times. Get one of his better, more reliable, consistent targets out there on the field more. Put your better players on the football field. Plain and simple. That's one change we can make there. And another change we could do is getting back to basics, specifically on the offensive side of the football. The Bills kind of tried to I think they ran more vertical downfield routes this week than they have in like the entire season combined so far. And I mean, after the Patriots lost, I mean, were there some shots fired from Sean McDermott at Joe Brady here? He said that I thought we were too cute at times, and I think at this point he was referencing the end around that the Bills were running to Dawson Knox that ended up resulting in a fumble, being credited to Josh Allen there. Yeah, maybe it was a little bit too cute. Joe Brady kind of fired back and said that there's always 2 plays that the Bills can go to in every look that they trot out at the line of scrimmage. So we'll see if the Bills can get back to basics. But what they need to change is just committing back to the run game. I know the Patriots were kind of able to sniff out most of the Bills' run looks and just couldn't get James Cook going as well as he had so far this year. Let's just get back to that. Start running through people's faces. How about let's show run and let's still get a push like the Bills have through the first 4 weeks of the year, and they'll be back to where they were kind of in control of those football games. Don't need all these cute downfield plays, especially when their downfield receivers can't separate that much. Got is it 3 more? 2 more big changes to make in just a moment. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you guys by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. It can get you up to 2,000 times your money watching your Buffalo Bills this football season because it's daily fantasy made easy. It's the best daily fantasy app in the game. Take it from me. I've been a customer longer than they've even been a sponsor here at Chat Sports. I've won over $12,000 on Prize Picks, and you guys can too. They always want to make it easier for you guys to do so. So for new users, they offer an awesome deal. $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. But it goes beyond that. Prize Picks is so cool because they offer stacks. The only daily fantasy sports app that offers stacks, which means you can have multiple stat projections from the same player. So if you want Josh Allen rushing yards, touchdowns, and passing yards all in the same lineup, you can do it on Prize Picks. If you want to see my lineup for Week 6, I got the following. Bijan Robinson, more than 30.5 receiving yards. Plain and simple, he's a threat through the air, and the Bills have been allowing quite a few receiving yards to running backs so far this year. Dalton Kincaid, I mean, if they keep putting these projections less than 40 yards, I'm going to keep taking the more on Kincaid there. And then James Cook, like I said, I think he's going to get back in a little bit of a rhythm this week, more than 76.5 rushing yards. You can tail my picks or fade them. Just do it at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code CLNS. Remember, you got to use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Another change that the Bills can make personnel-wise is more Epenesa. More A.J. Epenesa, and specifically on passing downs. A.J. Epenesa has been graded out as one of the best Bills pass rushers, if not the best consistent pass rusher. Maybe hasn't led to all the sacks and forced fumbles like a Joey Bosa has so far this year, but he has been underutilized. That's the one way that I could put it. Only 4 pass rushing snaps in Week 1. 13 in Week 2. The Jets didn't even throw the ball that much. 13 in Week 3. 12 in Week 4. Finally got to 20 in Week 5, and he actually made a big-time play. Wrapped up Drake May in this one. I mean, this stat from Anthony Cover 1, I loved it. He said A.J. Epenesa ranks second pass rush productivity in the entire NFL among 115 qualified edges through the first 5 weeks. Pass rush productivity measures sacks, hits, and hurries relative to how many times a player rushed the passer. So clearly, Epenesa has been making the most of his opportunities so far this year. How about we give him more opportunities? And specifically, how about we take them away from a guy like Greg Rousseau or even Joey Bosa, who we know snap count can get down here as the Bills want to preserve him from the postseason. I mean, just get Epenesa in the game more on the edge. He's clearly been making an impact, and he deserves more playing time here because, I mean, I haven't seen enough from Greg Rousseau as a pass rusher to be dominating the snaps so much more than Epenesa has. By the way, all those snap counts were like 5th or 6th, maybe even lower in some instances on the Bills as far as pass rush snap count goes. The final change that I think the Bills should make here, heading into Week 6 and beyond, it's time to make a change in the safety position. And I think it's time to make a change at the cornerback position too, but the safety position is something that we can address in-house immediately. Let's give Jordan Hancock a shot, a player who I thought made a couple of plays in the preseason. I know it's preseason, but that stuck out to me, and that showed me that he has instincts and can be a rotational player quickly into his NFL career. A day 3 draft pick by Brandon Beane here. I'm not so sure how much we're going to see of Jordan Hancock. Really hasn't gotten any defensive snaps so far this year. And it doesn't really seem like, from what we've heard from Sean McDermott throughout his press conferences and whatnot, that especially I think this was noted after the Saints game, that he doesn't think the safety spot is an issue on the Buffalo Bills. Well, I'm here to tell you that it kind of is. Let's go to these PFF ranks. I know PFF isn't the Bible, but I like to go to them as kind of some level of benchmark. They have at least some of an idea of how you're playing. Yeah, Taylor Rapp's playing bad. He's the 116th graded safety so far this year. There's only 129 that have qualified so far in the snap count game. That is atrocious. Look at these coverage grades. Less than a 30 in week 1. Both safeties were horrific in week 1, so neither of them were helping each other there. 64, his second highest, I should say, in week 2 against the Jets. Yet Justin Fields never threw the ball, and Tyrod Taylor came in at the end of the game. 54 against another decent quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa that you play. 51 in week 5 against another good quarterback in Drake May. So against the 3 decent enough quarterbacks that he played so far this year, Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, Drake May, sub 60 in the coverage grades for him there. When you play Spencer Rattler and Justin Fields, sure, those numbers will look a little bit better. They're still not league average, by the way. How about we just play Jordan Hancock at the free safety, see what he can do over the top? Because what I see with Taylor Rapp is often is that he'll take a bad angle and then he cannot recover because he doesn't really have that closing speed. Also kind of see that he's afraid to make downfield tackles running at full speed with the concussion history that he's had. So how about we get a guy in Jordan Hancock that has better instincts, has better closing speed, and has less fear than Taylor Rapp? We can get Taylor Rapp playing a little bit more of some dime packages, some nickel packages, closer to the line of scrimmage. Maybe you want to send him off of the edge so he's not running from the top of the third level of the defense all the way to the line of scrimmage trying to make a play like a freight train downhill. Clearly, that's not something that he's super interested in right now. So how about we just start him closer to the line of scrimmage on some of these dime looks, and that'll be a better spot for him to be effective on the football field. Got to give somebody a shot because clearly Taylor Rapp being your last line of defense back there, it's just not working out all that well so far this year. What do you guys think? What is the biggest change the Bills need to make here heading into week 6 and beyond? Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. And if you want to talk more about it, we can do that on social media. At Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's on Twitter because the name's common, but I am not. As that will do it for today's edition of the Bills Breakdown. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. More videos as we lead up to Monday Night Football this upcoming week. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go Buffalo.